Time is of the essence. Time is winding down. With 17 days left before opening day, that means there are significantly less than that as far as time goes to make this club. We talk about all that next on the DLLS Rangers podcast. I guess technically it could be 16 days that a player has until they're told if they make the team or not. But basically, time is winding down, and the competition at a couple of different positions, a few actually, is heating up at spring training as we welcome you into the DLLS Rangers podcast. John Radigan here with Jeff Wilson there and Elijah Smith there, and you have a mission. Please help us, help yourself become a diehard. It's so cheap right now, $36. And we have just learned there are 5 all-city networks. We are on the heels of catching and passing Philadelphia.
Oh, we want to beat
again, I know Rangers fans don't really hate Phillies fans or anything.
Right.
But Rangers fans are generally Cowboys fans, too. And there's hardly a Cowboys fan out there who can stand anything about Eagles fans. So, free agency, baby. Look at there. We already stole an Eagle. Jeff Kavanaugh's been talking about that for an hour today. The Eagles' defense is hampered. They're losing players, and we just want to catch PHLLY. That's the DLLS of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And we know you can do it. We're right there. We're nipping at their heels.
And it's not just, again, this isn't just like a Cowboy special. If you get the spend the 36, you get all the stuff, including Rangers.
Yeah.
Including Rangers.
Yeah.
So let's get off our butts. I mean, this deal's unbelievable.
How do you pass that deal up?
You get a shirt too. You get a shirt. So you guys if you've been on the fence for whatever reason, this should shove you right over the fence. Yeah.
This is the time.
The grass is greener on the side you're trying to get to.
Damn near as green as my shirt, which we'll talk about a little later on in the program.
That's right.
But for now, we want to get to the day in camp for your Texas Rangers, which at this point, they can become pretty exciting. You see more of the regular players. You see them play for a longer period of time. You certainly see the pitchers try to stretch things out. We'll get to the lineup in a moment, but Tyler Mahle today is the guy who will try to stretch things out even a little further. But I guess the top story is the fact that Bruce Bochy told the collective media, and we thank Kennedy Landry and Sean McFarland and perhaps others for posting this, but Adolis Garcia will take some ABs on the backfields today and is likely, weather permitting, to play designated hitter on Thursday.
That's a good sign. He only took about 2 days off, and then we saw him with a bat the other day in the clubhouse, and he was in a good mood, and he was headed out to swing for the first time, and he took batting practice on the field Sunday, which caught a lot of us by surprise. This is a pretty minor one. And again, kind of hats off to him for getting out ahead of it, making sure everything was okay. He felt something at spring training. He doesn't need to be playing every day in camp. He needs to be playing every day in March, beginning March 27th. So good approach by him, and it looks like everything's going to be just fine for him to be ready by the opener. He does have some work to do, all right? He has some at-bats to catch up on. He's the only guy, the only regular this spring who has not hit a ball with 100-mile-per-hour exit velocity. That's something that the Rangers brought to his attention. You know, he worked on his swing a lot, and it's different. He worked on his approach, but they were kind of treating it. It was described as a 2-strike approach.
Right.
And they don't want a 2-strike approach when the count's 0-0.
Right.
Or if he's ahead in the count.
Yeah.
So they're trying to find the happy medium. So I think that you're gonna start seeing some more concerted effort on Adolis' part to drive the ball. As Bruce Bochy said the other day, he's a bad man, and the Rangers want him at his baddest.
Yeah, be a bad man.
And that's not slapping the ball to right field.
No.
You know, when it's a 3-1 count. It's getting the ball out of the ballpark.
Yeah, and when you think about it, that 2-strike approach, if you will, is the extreme, right? You're trying to go from this huge big leg kick like he used to do, and you want to get to a shorter swing, quicker hands, more compact. We'll take it all the way back to the base, right, which is that 2-strike approach.
Yeah.
And then you can maybe build back up from there, hopefully not all the way to where it was, but you can build back up to an approach that is more conducive to hitting virtually in all counts. And then even maybe when you do have 2 strikes, get back to that approach that you've found.
Sure. I mean, you know, it's gonna serve him well. You know, he strikes out too much. You know, he chases the high heater. The slider can get him. Well, okay. You've changed your swing. You've changed your approach. Just do it. Do it when you need it. And you don't need it when, again, you're potentially ahead in the count or early in counts. So that's definitely something to watch the rest of camp. See if he can get some balls in the air and out of the ballpark. And also, you know, it seems like he's going to stay healthy. So looks like he's healthy. Wyatt Langford is playing today for a 3rd straight day. So his oblique seems like it's good to go. So on the health front, and again, the Rangers haven't had anything terrible this spring. They're trending the right way.
All right. More evidence that there are separate entities and departments to a Major League Baseball team. And the department, baseball operations, which is the players and the coaches and, of course, the front office, that's chock full of Spanish speakers. But there may not be enough Spanish speakers. And maybe this wasn't a Rangers thing. But for a while it was on their website. It's off. The Major League Baseball came up with these hats, the design of which shows a prominent, you know, the letter right there, the T, right in the middle of the hat. And so each of the teams has whatever their first letter on the hat is right in the middle. But for our Spanish speakers out there, you know that Tetas is it's a bad word.
Yeah, if we used it, we might have to go see human resources.
Right.
I
did see someone when they were kind of scanning all of the hats. They're going like this. They get to Tetas and they do that. If that tells you anything about
So anyway, I think obviously it's not just a Rangers thing. I mean, all these teams have these hats. The A's hat looks like it spells ass.
Yes.
You know, so I mean there's some bad ones. There's like the Astros one. It looks like a Soho's. It just doesn't, and the Angels is bad. It just doesn't look like, you know, a team's hat. It just I don't know.
Well,
and Fanatics does all the merchandise for baseball these days. And they do a pretty good job, but they swung and missed at this one. And so unfortunately, you know, unless you were an early shopper, you're not going to get your Tetas hat.
Yeah, that's that will become a collector's item. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, if you've gotten yours, I don't know. Maybe they haven't shipped any. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see if any of those land out there on heads in the area. We kind of hope they do. We'll get a chuckle out of that. And Jeff mentioned Wyatt Langford's in there for the 3rd straight game. Let's take a look at the lineup for today. And again, right there at the top, it's going to look very much like we expect it to look in 17 days, right? With Marcus Semien and Corey Seager and Wyatt Langford and Josh Young and Jake Berger, and then the catcher, you know, in this case today, Kyle Higashioka, of course, Kevin Pillar's in there, as is Sam Haggerty, Leody Taveras, and then Tyler Mahle. We haven't Jeff talked that much about Sam Haggerty. What were your impressions of him there? Another guy, battling for a spot here, and can he figure out a way to get into the mix?
Yeah, he's one of those 4A guys, or a guy who could probably get at bats on a non-contending team. He's been with Seattle, and the Mariners, despite all their offensive woes, have regulars at the spots where he plays. He can play second base, which kind of lends to Kelly Mann's question there. We'll get to it though in the third segment. He's a left-handed hitter. He's got good speed. He can play in the outfield. He can help a little bit in the infield. He's the guy's still in camp. He has some major league experience. So he's a guy who, if he doesn't break camp, will probably be in the majors at some point this year. Just somebody you can rely on a little bit, and who has the experience and has been to the ballparks, and knows how to get around maybe a little bit better than some of the young guys on the 40 man. But you look at him and you're like, yeah, this guy's done it before. But again, he's part of this great group of depth pieces that the Rangers are trying to assemble, so that when something goes wrong, because it will happen, when something goes wrong, instead of calling up a guy who's never played in the majors before, they would be calling up a guy theoretically who has hundreds of at bats and has been to the on the road and the venues and seen the pitchers. So he has a better chance to sustain success if it's a long stint. He's more of a veteran guy who knows his role, if you will, as opposed to somebody at AAA who's been playing every day and then all of a sudden is getting 2 games a week.
Yeah, and if you look at that lineup, it certainly is Kevin Pillar who has the greater chance of being a roster invite, who has a chance to make it with the big club when they break camp, Jeff.
Yeah, that seems like it's growing in momentum. You look at Ezekiel Duran's numbers. He's only had 17 at bats, but he's hitting 118. He's 2 for 17. He has drawn some walks to his credit, and he's working on it. It is a new swing for him this offseason that he went to work on too. So he's dealing with that, but he kind of. And again, the spring stats don't matter in theory, but they do for a younger guy. Now, an established guy like Corey Seager, 23 at bats, he's batting 130. He's 3 for 23.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't think the Rangers are very worried about him. Same thing with Semien. Semien isn't hitting worth a lick either. So you can look at the numbers and be like, oh God, what's going on? Well, these guys know what they're doing. They know how to get ready for a season. Semien batting 172. His home run was wind dated. So it's there's no concern with Bruce Bochy with guys like that.
No.
When the bell rings, they'll be ready.
Yeah, and he said, Bochy said yesterday or the day before, I don't worry about results. I worry about sort of the approach, not only at the plate, but the approach to the whole picture, the big picture. That is spring training, and that's what he's looking for out of these guys. Are they doing the things necessary to get ready? Mike Maddux is back in camp, and he really wasn't gone for that long, but he was gone for such a blessed reason as a man who recently welcomed his first grandchild into the world. I can relate to what Mike Maddux recently had the opportunity to do with his daughter, Lexi, and her husband, and Mad Dog's new grandson, and his name is Maddux.
Yeah, it's not Maddux. It's they
yeah.
Lexi took her husband's name, so that's good, and it's kind of a tradition in the Maddux family among all the grandkids, or I guess, the grandkids. So to have Maddux in the name of one of the grandchildren. There's 3 grandkids now, and one had the last name Maddux, so it's something Maddux. The second one, born to one of the I think Greg's daughter was something Maddux something, and now this one is Maddux Reed something. So and it was plotted among the cousins how to keep it alive, kept a secret from the parents in this case, and so they were pleasantly surprised. But talked to Mike about it. He got back to camp Friday, the day of the rainout. Talked to him Saturday morning about it. Him and Bruce Bochy, who's a doting grandfather. I believe he has 3 grandkids, and they were kind of talking about, you kind of appreciate a little bit more, and maybe like when you're a parent yourself, especially the first one, you don't know what the heck you're doing.
No.
You don't know what you're getting into. But then to see your own child have a baby, which I haven't experienced, but you just did, John.
Just did.
That maybe puts a little bit different spin on parenthood and grandparenthood for you. So good for Mike. He was in pretty good spirits. Pretty happy guy.
Yep. You walk on air. I'm going to see my baby girl and her baby girl after the show today. So very exciting times for the Maddux family. No doubt about that. All right, more coming up as we've got to roll on with this one. And people are beginning to ponder nationally, what will the next chapter of Jacob deGrom look like? We think we know. Let's hear what they think next on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
It's been a while since I was able to do sleeper. When you go to Arizona, by gosh, it's not legal there, or it's not. I guess they just don't have it yet, because I think they do have some. But anyway, I did a sleeper pick just this morning. I picked 5 players plus or minus certain things. Put $5 on it. Not very high odds, so I'll just win a little bit here later on tonight. But Sleeper is the fantasy app that is now doing daily picks, and it's great. I just really enjoy it. As I've said before, I'm a big double guy when it comes to the NBA, so I've got some of those picked for tonight. There's just a lot of ways to do it. It makes you pay attention to the sports, makes you learn about players, and I've learned a lot about the NBA. I really have, as a guy who has pretty much turned it off for a good part of the year. So anyway, download the app, and if you use the code DLLS Rangers, you get up to a $100 match on your first deposit.
That's a fantastic deal, as is the one that you can get from Saturday Neon. These are those wonderful neon signs we've been telling you all about. What you could do, figure out which team you win the most on, and then have your Saturday that's from Sleeper, right? You make all your money on X, and then have your Saturday Neon sign made to, honor that team, right? They've got 50 colleges and universities. They are trying to get more. We know they're going to get more. They'll also do a personalized neon sign for you. It's this high-tech form of neon. Looks just like the old-fashioned neon outside the bars and so forth back in the day, but it's LED lighting underneath there. I've got some of this at the house. It's really bright. It's really good. It's really visible. So get yourself a Saturday Neon sign today. Go to SaturdayNeon.com. Use that code DLLS for 10% off Saturday Neon. All right, so here we go. Jacob deGrom. People are wondering, what is his chapter going to look like? And I suggest we need look no further, Jeff, than Chris Sale. Last year. Yeah. To know.
I'm following you.
And I get it. Chris Sale, I believe, was 35 at the start of last season. Jacob deGrom is 37 as we begin this season. So there's a 2-year difference there. But Jacob deGrom was a hell of a lot better before he got hurt than Chris Sale was.
Yeah.
And, age, I think, anymore is such a different thing. These guys keep themselves in such great shape. They have the nutritionists. They have all these. So, you'd say, man, a 36, 37, 35-year-old guy, he's not going to be able to do it anymore. I believe Jacob deGrom can. He sure looks the part. And from everything we've seen in the very small sample size since the surgery, I really believe he's dialed in. He is focused, and he is ready to have a Sale-like season, which would be a Cy Young-like season.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the fitness and all that stuff, working out, it's extended careers of people in all walks of life, in all sports, and for crying out loud, LeBron James, how old is he? And still has, so good. So, that's just one example. But you look at deGrom, and I've seen him. He's fit. He's never been out of shape. But the thing to remember, when a guy misses time for an elbow injury, he doesn't just sit around for 12 months. He's working on the rest of his body. He's making his shoulder stronger. His shoulder, if it was giving him problems, you know what? He's getting some rest. His legs are getting stronger. And you always see that these guys, or not always, but in many cases, come back throwing harder.
Yes.
And it's a real long list of guys who have come back throwing harder after Tommy John. They mentioned, Chris Young mentioned the other day, Alejandro Rosario, the young prospect who has to have Tommy John, hasn't had it yet. He's going to come back better, and he's already throwing not topping out, but sitting at like 98. Okay, well, good God, what's he going to come back at? So anyway, these guys are in great shape, and again, the wear and tear on the rest of the body isn't there. So he's got a new elbow and the body's fresh, so he's got a chance to do it. The big thing that I remember ever since I started doing this was that command and control were always the bugaboos with guys coming back from Tommy John. Jacob deGrom relies on his command. I mean, he's got great stuff, but he knows where he wants to live. He knows where he gets his outs on the outside corner. And I tell you, his outing Friday, he was just dotting the outside. Yeah, there was one at bat. I might have been against Salvador Perez from or Bobby Witt Jr., one of the two. I mean, you just looked at the chart, the pitch chart on the website, and they were just all right off the lower corner. I mean, this guy's dialed in
on top of each other.
I mean, it was that good. So he does have a chance to rebound. He's a 2-time Cy Young winner. When he's healthy, he's great. And, of course, we know that's been the problem. But if Jacob deGrom is healthy, Jacob deGrom's a Cy Young candidate, no matter how many innings he pitches. And then B, the Rangers are a very fearsome team to face in the American League. So that is a lot to carry for a guy, but he's used to it. And again, he hasn't pitched for 2 years, and people still say he's the best pitcher in the world. So that tells you how good he is.
Well, and in fact, if you look at the opposite side of the coin, if you will, right? One side says, well, he's been hurt pretty much ever since 2019, although actually he wasn't hurt in 20. He just didn't have any numbers. Nobody did because of COVID, but whatever.
He was healthy that year.
Yeah, he was healthy that year. The point is he's had essentially no wear and tear on the body because of injuries, right? The injuries have healed. Yeah. So he's had no wear and tear on the body for like 4 years now. Right. And that means the body remains a little bit more fresh. The other thing from that one outing that he's had thus far in spring training, Kyle Higashioka caught him. And it was the first time that Kyle had actually caught him in game circumstances. And he said afterwards, man, this guy is everything advertised. He puts it exactly where you want it. And, of course, afterwards, Jacob's going, I was a little off. I was missing my spots or whatever. But not to Kyle Higashioka, who's caught, by the way, a lot of really good pitchers.
Oh, absolutely.
Both in the Padres organization, but certainly going back to his days as a Yankee.
Yeah, and the guys say it's easy to catch him.
Yes.
Because you don't have to move.
You don't have to move. Yeah.
The ball's going to be right where you want it, where you put your glove. So, I've watched him play catch, and the guy, whoever he's playing catch with, will put his glove. The time I watched, basically right at the chest to neck level. Boom, boom, boom. And if he missed, Jacob would get upset. If it was high, he'd be like, or low. Ugh.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, he's a perfectionist out there, and they all are. But he's really hard on himself. So, he's been on top of the mountain. He's with the 2 Cy Youngs. He may still be on top of the mountain. We don't know. But Joel Sherman with the New York Post, who covered Jacob in New York, wrote a story about the peculiar case of Jacob deGrom in the Hall of Fame. And, you look at his numbers, and I think we have something about his, career on base percentage?
On base, yeah.
Yeah, it's the lowest.
Look at the people
in all time.
Yeah, He's better than Sandy Koufax and Pedro and Clayton Kershaw and Mariano Rivera, and that's for 1,000 at bats, Jeff. I mean, that's not. I mean, I'm sorry, 1,000 innings. I should say 1,000 innings, and so obviously, Rivera pitched for so long.
Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Sandy Alcantara is not in the Hall of Fame, but Pedro Martinez and Juan Marichal sure the heck are.
Yeah.
So, and there are other numbers like that. Like his career ERA is if it's not the lowest, it's top 3 all time for the amount of innings he's pitched. It's just crazy how good he is. But he won a Cy Young with like 10 wins. It's like, it's kind of he's kind of a modern modern day, if you will, example for a litmus test maybe for the Hall of Fame.
Sure,
because the wins aren't there, obviously. All the other numbers are, and with the win not a huge deal anymore in statistical circles because it's usually out of the pitcher's control. He's going to be an interesting case if he's healthy these next 3 years. Maybe he wins another Cy Young, and if he pitches a couple more years after that, be it for the Rangers or somewhere else, and he's good, it's gonna be a Koufax-like case. Sandy Koufax was so good, but it was such a small window of time before he had to retire. It would help if the Rangers got to the World Series.
Sure,
because some of Sandy's best games were in the postseason. And the guy pitched. I think it was Game 7 of the '65 World Series on 2 days rest and threw a complete game shutout.
Yeah,
so that's probably also why he got arthritis in his elbow. But it's the chance to be like that. And the numbers may be there, and when he retires and is on the ballot, it's going to be pretty interesting. If these next 3 to 5 years are great.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's got 3 more for sure on this contract, this one and 2 more, and then but the thing to remember about that quest, if you will, is that the same guys who are watching him and ranking him as they are right now are the same guys who are going to be voting when that happens. And as we say, he ranks above all of them in the on-base percentage allowed. So it's a significant thing that he's done. And all we have to, both, from what we've heard, both Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander, north of 40, are both, off to pretty good spring starts. Now, again, let's make it through a season before we start, blowing a trumpet for them. But that said, these guys are significantly older than Jacob deGrom.
They are. And, their velocity's declined. They have a bunch of innings. They've been workhorses pretty much throughout their careers. Not immune to injury. Verlander's had Tommy John surgery, and Scherzer's last couple of years haven't been very healthy. He struck out 6 the other day, I think, in his start for the Blue Jays, and Verlander's still out there pumping for the Giants. So, they're Hall of Famers. No doubt about that.
No doubt.
But they have 3 Cy Youngs. If deGrom were to match a third Cy Young, it's like, gosh, how do you keep a guy?
Not? Yeah,
you can have 3 Cy Youngs out of the Hall of Fame. The Rangers, as we've said, and as most of you know, have never had a pitcher win the Cy Young. So they've got a pretty good shot, I think, with this guy.
I do too. Maybe more than one, which would be pretty cool too, as he sees if he can defy the odds, right, and sort of beat Father Time again. We need to look no further than, the late 80s, early 90s around here when Nolan Ryan was the picture-perfect example of beating Father Time, defying the odds. And Nolan did so many of those significant historic accomplishments were done right here in a Texas Rangers uniform. So anyway, we've got some questions from you coming up next on the show. We know you're asking questions, and we know we're going to answer them. That's coming up next. Also, just a couple of little notes about where the Rangers rank right now. It's got the skipper over here singing a happy tune. We'll talk about it next on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
I was looking forward to a weekend off from the baseball fields, but Henry has picked up with another team.
Wow!
And his best friend's on the team, so Henry is playing this weekend, and we will be lugging around a non-rugged road cooler. So that's going to be my exercise because I'm going to be doing a lot of lifting because they're heavy. A rugged road, though, durable, lightweight, floatable, keeps your stuff really, really cold. And it's going to be nice this weekend. So we're going to definitely have the cooler out. And I am going to be probably around Sunday, if they advance, ordering a Rugged Road. It's time. I'm going to use the code DLLS. I'm going to get 10% off at ruggedroadoutdoors.com. And we are going to relish in having a cooler that doesn't break our backs, doesn't require us to, really act like we're squatting and hoisting and lifting like a car. We'll just be lifting the sweet-ass Rugged Road cooler at ruggedroadoutdoors.com.
Yeah, later in the summer, throw it in the pool.
Sure.
Yeah, it's going to float. So don't forget, too, about your opportunity to buy from Game Time. This is a great app that will allow you to buy tickets to anything, and it's got price guarantees. It's got certainty. Look, you see it right there. The picture shows you where your seat would be, so you're not behind some pole somewhere. You're not, in a spot where you can't see the game or where you wouldn't want to be, right? So go to ruggedroad.com, utilize all the technology that they have there, and you will be so glad that you did, as I have been on a couple of occasions already. And, like we were saying the other day, I looked, they've got some of the small venues right down here in Deep Ellum are on the Game Time app. So you could get on there and buy a ticket for a show that's over at Trees or somewhere, and you'd have a seat when you got there. Game Time, great app. Use the code DLLS and get $20 off your first purchase. The rankings are out in various aspects, okay? So I see one that ranks the Rangers, and again, we talk about it all the time. The reason they put these rankings out is so that we will do just exactly what we're doing, which is to say, talk about them. So we're going to do it. We fell into their trap again. But somebody at MLB ranked the offenses, the offenses in the American League, lineups, basically. And they had the Rangers at 10th lineup-wise. And then the same group puts out this, that the Rangers are the second best odds to win the World Series, significantly behind the Los Angeles Dodgers, I should say, who were at almost 20%. Rangers, though, best American League team at 9.4. Let's say almost 10% chance of winning the World Series.
Well, if you win the American League, you get it. I guess you have a 50-50 shot.
Now you got a 50-50 shot. Yeah.
So I think a lot of people think the Rangers are going to win the AL. We've seen that, and so excuse me. It makes some sense. Now the 10th best lineup.
Right. They had the Orioles ahead of them. They had the Yankees ahead of them, and one other American League or Red Sox.
Okay. Well, we'll see how it plays out. And the Rangers do have a few things that need to be addressed. What is going to happen in center field? We kind of talked about it yesterday with Evan Carter and Leody Taveras and Kevin Pillar. And then is Adolis Garcia going to bounce back? Can Josh Young stay healthy? All those things could very easily be improved upon from last season. The catching output should be better. The DH output should be better. So there are a lot of reasons to feel good about it, but you have to see it happen. It looks great on paper, John, but you got to get out there and execute and get it all done. So it's got the potential to be higher. It's only 2 years removed, the World Series year, from being the top offense in the American League.
Yeah, and again, through the first 3 quarters of that season, for sure the first half, we were talking about the 27 Yankees and stuff with that line.
Very, very good. And you look at that season, Corey Seager missed more than, around a month, maybe a little bit more than a month. But you had Ezekiel Duran pick up the slack. When Josh Young was hurt, Zeke kind of slipped a little, but they were able to, still manage to do it. That was when Corey Seager was just scorching hot. And, Simeon had a good year, also needs to be better this season. And you have Wyatt Langford, who the 23 team did not have, so you're going to expect more from him. So there's just a lot of good potential here. But we'll see how it plays out. I mean, the Red Sox are going to hit the ball really, really well. They added Bregman. The Yankees are getting banged up. They're
right
short with Stanton right now on the injury front. DJ LeMahieu is not that he was a great hitter last year or as the hitter he used to be. But that's another blow. They lost Gleyber Torres, who was a pretty good little second baseman.
Yeah.
So they have some things where, and they lost Juan Soto.
Right.
So they have some
the best hitter on the planet.
They have some definite areas where they need to pick up some slack. So and the
Yeah.
Orioles are good. Gunnar Henderson, who was dealing with some kind of strain, an intercostal strain, he's swinging a bat today. So he's probably going to be okay for the opener. But that's a good lineup, and they just keep coming up with these young prospects, wave after wave of them. So that doesn't surprise me.
No.
That doesn't surprise me
and it went
at all.
Red Sox, Yankees, Orioles in their ranking. So that American League East, again, and we've said it before, pretty stacked, but so is the American League West, and, of course, no representation from the American League Central in that top 10, not as far as offenses go anyway. So.
Yeah, not surprising.
No.
Although the Royals are killing it this spring.
Yeah.
It's spring training, but, man, they are scoring some runs.
Yeah. All right, so let's get to some of the questions, Jeff, and you saw one early.
Yeah, from Kelly Man. All right, besides Josh Smith, which bench guy can be on the active roster who can play an infield spot besides Zeke? And then he mentions Haggerty.
Okay,
on the 40-man roster, you have Duran. Yeah. You have Jonathan Ornelas, who is a member of the 40-man roster. Beyond that, as far as just on the camp roster, including the non-roster guys, Haggerty, sure, Nick Ahmed, who we talked about, and I'm kind of intrigued by him because he's hit some home runs this spring, and he's only played, I believe, shortstop and second in his career. He's excellent at shortstop. Now he could probably play third. He could probably go to first. I mean, if the Rangers are short anywhere, it's the backup first baseman. Because I really don't think they want Jock Peterson to play first base. He's done it this spring. It's not natural. That's the best way to say it.
Yeah.
So I think that's the one good thing that Zeke Duran has going for him right now is the ability to play first base. Especially if, let's say, Corey Seager, which seems to happen just about every year, needs a little time on the injured list. Well, you're going to want Josh Smith at shortstop. Who's going to be your backup infielder at that point? I would think Duran, but he does have the options. He can go to the minors and get at bats. So to answer your question, on the active on the 40-man, it's Duran and Ornelas. Beyond that, well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Pilar's never done anything in the infield.
I don't believe so.
No,
yeah.
So that would be nice if you had a little more utility out of that guy. But he's been such a good outfielder. Why would anybody ever put him in the infield?
Yeah. So. He's like an elite outfielder.
Yeah, he was a Platinum Glover, I think, 1 year.
Pretty good. Pretty good on the defense. Yeah. I did see something, not a question, about the TV, and maybe it was about when's the first game going to be on the RSN? Tomorrow. Yeah. It's going to be on channel 33, the game. Friday will be on 33. I don't think the actual RSN, Rangers Sports Network, has a game on its channel until Sunday.
Yeah,
Sunday.
But make no mistake, these games on 33 will look just like the games that you'll see on the RSN, and anybody can get 33. You get that with rabbit ears, for God's sake. So tune in to see, kind of what it's going to look like. I know I will, because I'll be anxious to see some of the production value that the Rangers Sports Network has been able to get established so far. And look, I know it'll be good, because essentially most of the people who are over there establishing said production value are people I've worked with for years and years, decades in some cases. So it's going to look great, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they pull it all together. It's a huge undertaking, and to that point, Jeff, I remember someone on the chat yesterday saying, I hope that the first broadcast on Channel 33 goes off without any glitches. It won't. It just won't. And it's amazing. I tell this story all the time. Back in the day, I would do Rangers Live all summer, and then immediately, like almost, especially if the Rangers weren't in the playoffs, early October, maybe even still in September some years, I'm over there doing Stars Live at the AAC. And so it would be amazing because it's the same people. Me, the audio guy, the camera people, all of us just, basically went to a different location that day. And we were at the ballpark 2-3 days ago. Now we're at the AAC, and the audio wouldn't work in my ear. And I'm like, what the hell? I mean, what is going on? Because there's always a glitch. It's a different truck. It's just, and then you get your rhythm, and you if you're decent, you don't let anybody at home know that you're having audio issues or whatever. But anyway, there will be glitches, but they'll work through them quickly. They're great people that are doing that work over there. So I'm looking forward to that tomorrow. What time is it? 3:00 game, I guess, right?
Yeah,
probably not a night
3
game.
here. Jeff, when you get back to Surprise, I will be back on Tuesday, a week from today. It's a night game. Again, I believe that one's on the RSN. It's against the Guardians, so it'll be probably an 8:00 start here. So that's when I'm getting back for the last 5 days, so I can soak up the rest of the news and get a feel for what the Rangers are going to do, and post it at DLLS, allDLLS.com, where you can become a diehard, John, if we haven't mentioned it lately, for $36.
Yeah, it's an unbelievable price.
Yeah, you guys are crazy if you're not doing it. All right, next question, Dan. If the injury bug hits the pitching staff in 23, who are some players the team could look at during the trade deadline? Well, Dan, typically you look at the guys who are going to be free agents in 2026. So after this season, who are those guys going to be? And it's a pretty good list. But it also depends, though. Will their teams not be in contention? Like Dylan Cease with the Padres and Zach Gallen with the Diamondbacks. Well, they're probably going to be in the hunt.
Sure.
Framber Valdez, he'll probably be in.
Yep.
The Astros may not be the favorites to win the West, but they're still going to stick around. So, what about Jordan? What about Justin Verlander?
Sure.
Hey, with the Giants.
Sure.
Jordan Montgomery with the D-backs. There are a lot of ways they can go with that. Just guys who maybe you don't expect, but again, if they have to be on kind of non-contenders. And with that extra wild card spot, and it seems like a lot of parity right now, and especially in the American League, you may have a lot of contenders, a lot of teams that aren't willing to give it up. So some interesting names. You always look to the Cardinals because of the Mike Maddux relationship, and Miles Michaelis is a guy. Eric Fetty, who has not worked with Mike Maddux, but he's with them now. He was acquired by the Cardinals at the trade deadline last year from the White Sox. So, there's always that possibility. 2 years ago, the Rangers, got Jordan Montgomery and Max Scherzer.
Well, and that's the other
some
name
pretty good things for him.
What about Max Scherzer?
Yeah,
I mean, he's in Toronto. He's on a 1-year deal. If they could flip him for, it's not even a super expensive deal at all, but they could flip him and get some prospects. But he came in. Scherzer came in and worked well with the Rangers and worked well with Maddux in a previous World Series.
Yeah, it's entirely possible. Natalie, I always like Natalie's questions. Are Tavares and Duran two guys who could be on the trade block at the deadline? I'll be honest. I think the Rangers should have traded Duran by now. I think it's pretty apparent that he's just going to be a utility player at best, barring an injury. You can go out and get a better utility person than Duran. A veteran guy who can stay sharp without the at-bats, can play everywhere. You can find that. And it seems like Duran might be able to be a attractive young guy for a team that needs attractive young guys. Tavares, I don't know. He's you listen to Bruce Bochy, it sounds like Tavares is going to be right there in the mix this year. He's making $4.8 million.
Yeah, $4.75.
He needs to have a good year. Because if he doesn't, he becomes a non-tender candidate next year. I'm sure the Rangers would love to get something for him if that becomes the case. But at the trade deadline, it just depends on the deal. I could see it going. I could see the Rangers trading a major leaguer in the right deal.
Yeah. All right. There's some questions for you. We always appreciate those coming in. Shoot any others you have at us if you want, and we'll get to those in the cleanup segment. Plus, we've got a lot of stuff in that cleanup segment today, so stick with us. DLLS Rangers podcast continues in a moment. But we got to tell you about that Die Hard special. That is the biggie right now, $36. We've mentioned it a couple of times. We're making it easy for you. Just use the QR code right there on the screen. If you're watching along on YouTube, just scan that QR code and boom, you're a diehard. And you've done it for $36. You get a $34 shirt for free. So you've done it for what? $2. $2. And you can become, or I guess it's $34.99, aren't they? So
$1.01.
$1.01. And you are a diehard. And you get all the benefits therein, such as 20% off all of our events that we have, 20% off any other merchandise that you buy in the future, and so many other perks and benefits that come with being a diehard. Just that knowing nod, right? Hey, I'm a diehard. And, by the way, all the content that's written by Jeff and Sam and Clarence and Joe and Tim, and, it's all there. It's all there behind the paywall. So please do this for yourself, not for us. Become a diehard.
Yeah, do it for yourself. I mean, you look around the landscape here, and I've said it before, the Fort Worth newspaper does not even cover the Rangers.
Or the Stars.
Or the Mavs. They do have, I think, a Cowboys writer. I think they replaced Clarence, but it wouldn't surprise me if they didn't, for crying out loud. Anyway, and the Dallas paper, a good product, but way more expensive than we are. Way
significantly more expensive. And they don't
have
have a Daily Stars writer.
Right. Yeah. So we're kicking their butt, basically. So we're the best. That's all there is to it.
It is.
And not only if you become a diehard, take advantage of this offer, you get the free shirt, which you can peruse at store.allcitynetwork.com. John and I are merched up. That he's got on one of the St. Patty's Day shirts.
Yeah, I think this might be probably the last day you can order a St. Patty's Day shirt and get it in time for the wearing of the green. So do that. That's why I wore it today, to remind you.
Store.allcitynetwork.com.
There you go. All right. So we're going to clean things up here. And we talked about the uniforms that the hats that we had been produced for the Rangers, which had, an unfortunate Spanish word on them. But how about this? This one I really like because I'm old. It takes me back to my childhood. But the Baltimore Orioles have unveiled uniforms that they will wear. Now, they've been wearing these on a one-day basis, kind of as a throwback for I think, since like 2012. But this is going to be a regular part of the rotation for the Baltimore Orioles. Take a look. All orange with the hat that has black with the orange bill. I see those. Jeff and I see Brooks Robinson, baby. I mean, this is me when I was a kid. I was 8, 9, 10 years old when they were wearing these things. They are absolutely gorgeous. And again, in the 70s, man, we liked bright colors. Remember, by the late 70s, we had those Astros, monstrosities. But by God, my high school baseball team, we're in Brighton, Michigan. We had the stripes. I mean, that was, and we were cool. Man, the other teams, we'd come in there wearing those uniforms. They were like, oh, look at those. They were intimidating.
Yeah.
I and really, we were an orange. Our orange was our color, too.
Okay.
So,
I'm really hoping the Pirates dive into those old gold uniforms. Yes. And maybe they have, and I just miss it in those terrible hats.
Yeah, those hats
stripes
that were square.
You gotta see those.
Yeah, pillbox hats. So anyway, I love all that sort of stuff, that nostalgia, and there's no better place for it than, obviously right here in the game of baseball. So that's fantastic. Shohei Ohtani will be now is the first ever Major League Baseball player to be included in the video game Fortnite.
Oh, man.
I don't know a damn thing about Fortnite. I will say this. The picture that they put up of Shohei Ohtani becoming the first MLB player to be in Fortnite was Ohtani as a Lego character. And I picture Fortnite as being some sort of a slick and fancy and fast video game. And I just can't picture the Lego guy being fast, Jeff.
Yeah, I can't either. And that's always the thing that always initially stood out to me about Ohtani was how damn fast he is. You know, he'd beat out infield hits and make plays a lot closer than they should have been. So I don't know. I'm sure Henry, who does play the Fortnite,
does he?
Will let us know. Yeah.
What? Do you have any experience with Fortnite Prophet over there? No idea. Yeah, I don't know.
I think Snoop has been on Fortnite recently.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Snoop's been on everything recently.
Yeah, Snoop is taking advantage
Snoop,
of being
man.
Snoop.
Yeah. Good to be Snoop. There's no doubt about that. And and I think what it speaks to as well, though, is the international brand that Shohei Ohtani has become.
100%.
And there was a poll on MLB.com today about which player is and they interviewed players all over baseball, all over Major League Baseball, which one is most likely or would be best suited, I think, to have a post-career podcast. Well, of course, a bunch of them have podcasts now, including Mookie Betts, who was going away number one on that list. But I think third on the list is a guy you necessarily wouldn't think of, but he does have so much personality. He's just not fully versed with the English yet, and that's Shohei.
Yeah,
he's got a lot of. The pranks he's pulled with Dave Roberts and all that.
Yeah, well, they're just he's the Japanese players are generally a lot more private because in Japan they are treated like
royalty,
rock stars, the biggest movie stars. They are a big deal, and paparazzi and all that. So I think that maybe he could do it from the comfort of the confines of his own home, But I think you have to embrace it, like the Kelseys have done. They've taken off,
Boy, no kidding.
I know I know one of them's had some help with his lady friend, but nevertheless, my wife watches that show or listens to it, whatever.
Oh, does she? Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
My son listens to the Kelseys too. Yeah. And he's not a fan of either one. In fact, he's a Bills fan. He can't stand the one that's still playing because he's still on the Chiefs. So anyway, it's it's an interesting thing for Shohei Ohtani to be the first one of those. I assume he will be, Jeff, some sort of a superhero, right? On Fortnite. I mean, I'd have to think so. Look at him, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know though. Like, can you kill him? Because it's a skin. It's called a skin. Those are skins. Oh, okay. So you could be Shohei. All right. Well, I'd assume Henry will get that skin.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
We did have a question, Prophet, go back up. I think Kelly asked it about Evan Carter's bat speed. Are they giving him any special instructions to get his bat speed up? You know what? I think it's his body is allowing him to do it because he talked to us at the start of camp about how last season his back, he just couldn't do the things that he's normally done. And now he's getting back to that. So I haven't heard of anything. His swing doesn't look at all different. So I would think that just not having to have a pain in your back is what's allowing him to swing the bat faster. But Adolis, it's noticeable with the shorter kick. And then, Dustin Harris, who has gotten a lot of love from some guys in camp, some of the coaching staff, went through like a bat speed progression where he would have a bat that was 3 ounces heavier, 2 ounces heavier, 1 ounces heavier than his normal bat, and then 1, 2, and 3 lighter, and he would just alternate between those. And it's added 4 miles per hour to his swing.
Jeez.
Yeah. So Dustin's got a chance. He really does. He's big. He's super athletic. You go look at his stolen base totals. They'll in the minors, and you'll be blown away by it. He's playing center field now. He can play all 3 outfield spots. And I still think the Rangers should try him at first base, but they think it's a waste of the athleticism. I don't give a crap. If you need a first baseman, great. Put an athlete over there. I don't care. Just shoot. Give it a look. All right. I don't know. Do we have any more questions? I might have missed them. Elvis and Adrian are in camp.
Nice.
Any chance that Adrian takes on a role with the team in the future? I would say no. At least not the immediate future. I think that he has his one daughter in college. AJ, his son, is a freshman playing baseball at San Diego. Then they have another daughter who's still at home. I would think that Adrian will just kind of drop in like this, and I'm sure the Rangers would love to have him, but I'm not sure how down in the weeds Adrian wants to get.
No,
especially right now, and so I don't know about that one. Elvis, I could see it. Obviously, he's going to be on the broadcast. He's going to give that a shot for 20 or 30 games this year. So I would say no on Adrian, at least not right now.
Yeah, it's one of those things. They just don't want it to make that time commitment because that nobody better than a baseball player knows what the commitment of time is. Now, Michael Young has, and he was always resistant to it as well, and he's also moved back to California, and he has still committed to, Jeff, the fact that he'll be a special assistant.
Yeah.
And if it was anything for Adrian, I think it would be a special assistant. And I will say this. I saw Michael, just by coincidence, a few times during the World Series run in 2023. And not doing anything official, just loving being there. And I think if you express that as a teammate and a friend to Adrian, like, dude, you have no idea how much fun it is to, quote unquote, be involved, right?
Yeah.
Because, Michael had ownership. He helped, right?
Yeah, well, and, the guys who live here, excuse me, Kinsler and Darren Oliver, they're a little more heavily involved because they can drop down to the ballpark for a meeting and go look at a player or something like that. Whereas now like Colby Lewis, he's been in spring training. He's in camp right now. He'll be spending time with the minor leaguers, and they'll send him out, during the season to go work with some minor leaguers or whatnot. But, they do kind of get to work on their own schedules. But if you're here and you want to roll, they'll let you come as much as you want. So, Kinsler's at the ballpark quite a bit.
Yeah, he is. And he enjoys it. He really enjoys being around the game, being around the guys, being around that environment. Again, it's an environment in which he thrived, and it's so nice, really nice that Ian Kinsler is back, in the organization and back in the good stead of the organization. It pains me actually to see any of these guys. Juan Gonzalez has been basically estranged, and not by his own choice.
That was his own choice.
Yeah, by his own choice. But you hate to see that. You absolutely do. So let's get to Tony Tuesday on this Tuesday. And did you get it, Prophet? Oh, great. There we go. Yeah, there you go. So who said you couldn't? Who said you're not good enough? And why did you believe them? God has given you more than you need, and he will open doors and bless you according to his will. Keep walking in faith and know that God is the captain of your journey. Win your day. Tony Tuesdays. And that's great. I love that. We've said it before. In season, he generally gets those out earlier because he gets busy later in the day.
Yeah.
And nice little encouragement, something he's also very proud of, Tony, that so many people have, looked at it and been, blessed by it and encouraged and inspired by it.
Great guy. Best guy out there. Every morning comes up, every game during the season, makes sure he says hello to us, shakes our hands, all of that stuff, asks how we're doing, and is just a thoughtful guy who cares about a lot of people. And Brett C., how is Cole Winn looking in spring training? The one thing about Cole that people kind of forget is Cole got hurt last year and missed a lot of time over the summer. I think it was a lat deal or an oblique. It seems to be the in vogue injury. And so he missed a lot of time. So he's catching up a little bit. He's been working pretty hard. When he's thrown bullpens, Mike Maddux has been around him, and they're talking pitching and all that stuff. He's already been optioned out of camp. He is from Colorado, so he always has a big check mark in my book. So I'm always rooting for him. But yeah, he's got some work to do for sure.
Well, that's it for another day of the DLLS Rangers podcast. We appreciate the questions. We hope we've gotten them answered for you. We're back tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday, all at noon. We've got a special treat, I believe, on Thursday. We're working on that now. It's all coming up this week on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.